I want to help you revolutionize the way you think about trading and kind of backdoor your way into stuff. Help you understand that your mindset, your approach to the trade might be the actual thing that's holding you back. For example, when I was a kid, my mom would want me to eat broccoli because apparently it was good for me. At the time, I was basically, Mom, go forth and procreate with yourself. I'm not eating broccoli. I don't like the way it looks. I don't like the way it tastes. It's too bitter. There's no flavoring on it. I'm not interested. So then you get into this whole battle. She said, what do you think she said? But you haven't even tried it yet. So when I think about traders, the thing that trips them up is that they want to define themselves as a certain type of a trader before they've actually tried to accomplish what that type of trading style would actually be. This happens a lot in day trading. The marketers fill up their pipelines for everybody to see about how easy it is and how much money you could make. And of course, you can't take that dirty risk home overnight because that's how you go broke. Don't be a broke ass bitch. And my mindset's very, very different. I don't walk into a trade and say, I'm going to be a day trader today, or I'm going to be a trend follower, or today's the day for scalping because it's Tuesday. Tuesday's scalping day. So what I would suggest that you do, especially if you're struggling, is to put the trade on and manage the risk. Let the market tell you when the move is over, as opposed to you trying to impose your will. You don't even understand how many emails I get from people who are pulling out their hair, married to some type of definition of what they think trading is, but yet they haven't been able to execute on it. And they're like, well, come hell or high water, I'm going to do this, and I don't mind going broke. And to me, that's stupid, right? That's ego talking. And a long time channel viewer, Matiha 6884, I hope I'm saying the name right, wrote in a comment on the video that I did called What You Should Know About Scalping Before You Start. Now, I've done my fair share of scalping, and I don't have any biases. I don't have any group of traders that I don't like. Some of my best friends are day traders, right? So I don't have that type of bias. What I do have are the data. And I have a deluge of emails and requests to do things on how people can succeed at trading because they're failing on the short end. So I'm not calling anyone's girlfriend ugly here. I'm just saying, based on the data and the requests that I get, the people who seem, at least for, okay, let's say it this way, for the people who have watched this channel, might be a tiny, tiny group of people. Their biggest struggle is coming to terms with trading with the most random data there is, which is tick by tick, swing trading, scalping style trades. And I think people can do that, but to me, it's not as much technical as it is, do you have a good feel? And I don't care if you're in the box. I don't care about all that bullshit. You can look at that all day long. Ultimately, you have to develop a feel for what that data is saying to you and know how to pull off the trade. The technical part, it's like a person who has the same set of tools that a carpenter has. It's the same tools. But what makes somebody a great carpenter versus somebody to, average to no skill at all? It's the same tools. So to me, stop orders, looking at level two, those are just tools. They don't necessarily make the trader, they can help them. Anyway, the comment comes in and says, do you immediately, I think they didn't put the word in here, do you also immediately put your stop loss protective, I use protective stop with scalping and what are? That's not easy to make 5-1 or 3-1 for a quick scalping trade. And if you can't have a 3-1, then why are you even doing it? So, Mattia, your whole comment to me is a truism because I've already made that point. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to trade, for peanuts. My intention when I put a trade on, whether it's cocoa sugar, is to make it an investment. And what I mean by that is I'm willing to hold that trade for as long as possible throughout the day, overnight, and over the weekend. And I've got the track record to prove it. At the end of the day, you don't get paid if you don't have risk. So to me, your success is going to be limited by not your trading techniques and what you can learn, but your willingness to embrace the uncertainty. The uncertainty means risk, and risk is congruent with reward. They're related, like Coke and pizza. So to me, that means you want to be able to become friends with all of your feelings, right? How do you feel about having cocoa on at these levels overnight when the markets are closed? Why does it always have to be bad? I don't understand that, because that's your bias that you're bringing to the table. That person wouldn't have a seat at my table because it's not rational. They're afraid of the boogeyman at that point. So, typically when you scalp, my trading style is the same regardless of the holding period. I don't put on an optimal unit and just bet and put my ego on the spot right then and there. I kind of tiptoe my way into my optimal position. And I know where my protective stops are right away. If the market starts to move in my favor, my inclination would be to add. Sometimes the market says, not today you are. It's not going to happen today. So what happens? My trailing stop gets hit. Sometimes I win, sometimes I lose. If you're looking on the outside in, you'd say, oh, that was a scalp. And I'm like, oh, I didn't call it a scalp. I just put the damn trade on and put my stops in. Why are you so married to labels? The labels might be actually holding you back. They also might be, truncating or cauterizing your potential profitability. You can just let the winners run. I don't care what the box says. What makes that the tell-all? You know how many times I've been in a trade where it's gone up and down and up and down and up and down. If you were looking at the box, you'd knocked out of the trade 45 times. And all you had to do was position size to the point where you could keep it on. Let the market do the work. Again, go back to the broccoli thing. How do you know if you haven't tried it? So you can solve your own problems if you just stop bitching, right? If you stop worrying about small moves. Now, I'm not saying it's easy to make 5-1, right? That's the truism part. I never said it was easy to make a 5-1 on a particular trade. But what I am saying is that if you take everything off at 2-1, you're never going to see 5-1. And then if you take everything off that you can at 5-1, as rare as it might be, you're never going to see 10-1. Right? To me, those types of trades, it depends what your R is. If it's 20 cents, you could see a $2 move, right? That would be your 10-1. That could happen in a day, I suppose. But then you have to figure out for the position size, because we make our money not by the move, but by the position size, right? So what's that? What is that for you? I know for me, when I'm wrong, I'm oftentimes early. So I don't want to get knocked out with my optimal position size. You see? So I'll tiptoe my way in and I'll add. Sometimes I'll add as much as 5 times. I don't mind that. So where other people are trying to scale out, right? They buy their optimal unit and they try to feed their orders, into reading level 2 and get out and be happy with that. To me, it's not worth my time. You get to determine what's best for you. I'm not going to, again, some people just don't like chocolate ice cream. I don't understand them, but that's just their taste and preferences, right? Chocolate ice cream is going to be more expensive coming up. So I don't look and try to make up in my mind ahead of time, like I need to make a quick scalping trade. Why would I do that? I'm here to make money. So to me, it would be better to scale into my winners with smaller size and let the market show me that it wants to continue the move. That style might not work for you, right? But it works for me. Now, if I get knocked out, if I get to add a second piece on and it goes and I adjust my protective stop up, I might be profitable on one. My first unit might be at break even. That's just the way that it goes, because I'm not at that point interested in making a scalp style reward. Now, I know people can do that several times a day, perhaps. I'm just not, for where I am in my life and the money that I've made, I'm not willing to work that hard for it. I think that's a young person's game. In fact, I don't know anybody over the age of 60 who's sitting scalping all day. So I think, that's a young person's game. There could be outliers. I'm not saying that it's absolute. I don't say anything that's absolute because I live in a world of statistics and probabilities and expected outcomes. But for where I am in my life, I don't want to be sitting in front of the screen where you would have to do that in order to be a scalper. I have better things to do with my time. And I think as you get older and you see your friends getting sick, you see some of them dying, timely or not. I've had good close friends commit suicide. I want to live my life. So I'm not going to be at the screen from 5 a.m. Pacific time to 1 p.m. Pacific time, which would be the closing bell. I'm just not going to do it. I know where my levels are. I put my orders. I trust that my stops will get executed, and then the market's going to go where it's going to go. The last thing I want to do is be sitting in front of the screen, and that's where the younger folks love it. They want to be in front of the screen. So when I get knocked out of a trade for a win, on the outside looking in, you could say that was a good scalp. And for me, it's like, well, I was really just kind of getting to the first course, but the restaurant was closing, so I couldn't get to the salad, I couldn't get to the soup, I couldn't get to the main course. I just got knocked out. And that's the way that it works. So you might consider taking a look at what biases you're bringing to the table when you're starting to trade and letting go of those definitions. They don't really give you the sense of security that you think they do. And if they did, why aren't you performing better? See what I mean? So I've learned the hard way. Don't bitch at me. I wrote a book about my failures and made it public. Okay? So this isn't about how I'm better than you. It's not the point. The thing is like I believe the Buddhist, doctrine that man causes his own suffering. And so if you want to define yourself as a certain type of trader before you've tried other styles, just because so-and-so has done it, then you might be biting your nose to spite your face. How do you know you can't be better off without trying? So, if you make up in your mind, Matiha, that it's hard to make 5-1, I think you give it power. I don't look at it that way. I just think the market's random in many ways, especially in the short term. If you're looking at 1-minute bars, it's really, really random. I guess tick by tick, time and sales would be the most random. But if you say, well, it's going to be hard, then you're going to see it as being hard. If you're open to the possibility of it showing up once in a while, then you'll see the abundance, right? I don't do a lot of driving, but in California, you have to drive for the most part. We're not a city of pedestrians like New York City, where everyone's largely on foot. Albeit walking to buses, trains, Ubers, and this and that. You don't really have a need for a car of your own in New York City if you want. It's a luxury, but it becomes a pain in the ass. It's kind of like having kids. At the end of the day, you can determine your holding period based on where the price is going, right? And that's what I would do. And then learn to define if you need that to feel good about yourself, for your self-esteem or for your validation or because you feel more confident, who knows what the psychological reason is, without labeling yourself. You could look back over 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe 12 months of the year and say, from the data that I have, it seems that I'm a 2-day swing trader. Or from the data that I have, it looks like I'm an intraday scalper. Or from the data that I can collect, it looks as if I'm a short to intermediate term trend follower. So I would let your behavior indicate where you are in your trading rather than come to the trading desk and say, oh, I just have to scalp. Because you might be leaving a lot of money on the table, despite the fact that other people can do it. Your goal is to find the best strategy for who you are. Even though it can help you get started picking a role model, you still have to be promiscuous in your thought process at that point. And try several styles, several holding periods. And don't be so locked in. It's going to take time. I wish I could tell you that it's only going to take a few months and you'll find your path and you'll be locked and loaded and you'll be ready to go. Everyone wants to make money and succeed in like 2 weeks. It's not practical and it's not realistic. It's going to take a long time, perhaps years. And so you better batten down the hatches and get used to the fact that this is going to be a journey of self-discovery. In the meantime, you may or may not make money. But that's what trading is going to do. It's going to push your buttons. It's going to amplify your biggest character defects. It's going to ask you to feel feelings that you don't want to feel, and it's going to ask you to feel them at the times that you don't want to feel them. Right when you want to feel good, you're going to be faced with a challenge. And I've come to the conclusion through my own trial and error that my level of success in being able to execute every day, as well as my interpretation of the profitability, comes down to my willingness to live with the uncertainty that comes with managing risk. And through you, and by making myself my own lab rat, I can better determine what's the best holding period. If the market says for your temperament and for what you want to do, we don't have those types of trades in inventory right now, we're going to relegate you to stopping you out in what's going to look like scalping trades from the passersby. And if it tends to work out that makes me a little bit of money, I guess I'd rather make it than not, right? But at that level, the numbers are not that significant to me in terms of moving my P&L. Now, if I wanted to focus on that, I could make that my primary business, but then my hourly wage would go down. I'd be putting in many, many, many more hours for a lot less money. So you have to figure out what trade-offs do you want to make. Are you here to make money? Or are you here to feel good? Because again, to me, the level of profitability that you have is going to come down to your ability to deal with the uncertainty. If you like this video, check out this one here.